Now I'm going to open the floor for any comments or discussion, but I hope that the comments will be precise and brief because we need to accommodate quite a number of people.
It is right that you talk about historic reasons, divide and rule and colonial tactics, but I think you cannot, I said this to Pakistan and I said this to India, you cannot blame colonial and imperial powers who left in 1956 and in 1947. This is modern Sudan, and you have to blame yourself for your own shortcomings. I'm afraid you have to really take the blame. And if people feel, and I have to be blunt here, I mean, if I go to Al-Fashr and I go to Niala, if those people just see the images in Khartoum and the beautiful bridges that you have built and and there are absolute no doubt about the infrastructure that you have created and the buildings that are now being built. And from the last 17, 18 years that I've been coming here, Khartoum has transformed, is looking better than Islamabad and is looking better than many other cities. It's also, I think, we said this in one or two meetings, it's also changing the narrative because the ruling party, with all due respect, of course, as Muslims, and Darfurians are Muslims 100%, as Muslims, we have certain beliefs, and you know, whether the West or anybody else likes it or not, they know we are Muslims. You know, one of the greatest strengths that Sudan has as an image, even, is that you have these wonderful intellectual women, our sisters and our daughters, who are intellectual, who participate in society. Maybe you can create a day, you know, there are neighboring countries where women cannot drive, for instance. You may complain, and everybody does, that Western media attacks us. Well, Western media attacks us too, and we live in West. And it's okay, we have to live with it. That's media, this is a big business. This is part of what they do. And so, you know, I don't think we should get into this phobia that we are just being attacked. We need to become more proactive and have this. Thank you very much.
I was actually in Juba, and we witnessed that there. It was good to see that the Sudani army or Sudani government decided not to use force. And that went, at least in my opinion, many of those who were in my position, it went in your favor. That it was the international community who put the pressure on South Sudan and say, get out. It's not your area, it's Sudanese territory. Now, you could have used force and drive them out, and that could have broken a war, and you avoided that, and that went in your favor. I'm glad that the South Sudanese forces were actually forced to get out by the international community, and you've got your oil fields back. I know that what we heard then, before they left, they damaged the oil fields significantly, and you had to put a lot of effort to get them back going. But however, what I'm saying to you is that there needs to be efforts made, and I can see some of the efforts being made since on the part of the Sudani government in changing the perception about Sudan around the world. We are glad to see that both presidents of Sudan and South Sudan have met. We are glad to see that you have agreed on some of the arrangements on the oil revenue and also the trade between the countries. And you are continuing dialogue with South Sudan, which is a very good step forward. And that is what we would need you to do in resolving the other issues. And Lord Nazir Ahmed is quite right in saying that we can't always, after 50, 60 years, go back and start blaming the colonial powers. They left 50, 60 years ago, and we've got where we are, and we need to deal with the situations ourselves. And you know, British business people are very good business people, and they know where to invest. And if they know that there's money to be made somewhere, they will love to come. And I think that could be a way forward. So invite business community from the Western countries, and particularly United Kingdom. And that may help in actually strengthening the bilateral relationships between the countries and also improving your situation. I would do a little bit to say that who my colleagues are, for those who don't know them. I'm obviously been introduced. I'm Lord Qurban Hussain. I've been in the House of Lords for just over 2 years. On my left is Baroness Hussein-Ece, who is also a member of the House of Lords. She has been in the House of Lords a little longer than I have. But particularly with Sudan, the connection between the stronger connection that she has, that her ancestors actually belong to Sudan.
I just wanted to say that, and I, of course, as Lord Hussein has alluded to, I have, it's my first time here, and it's been a huge honour for me to come here. And again, as Lord Hussein said, in my research coming here, I thought I would be faced with a rather different country. And the perception in the West and in the United Kingdom is not an accurate one. It deeply saddens me that a country where my great-grandfather left, and why we're here, myself and my cousin, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him and the journey he was made to Cyprus and with the Turkish community, we wouldn't be here. But it saddens me as well that Sudan is in a situation it is. However, I'm always a pragmatist, and I think you have to be optimistic. Things change and can change rapidly. If you look at the history of different countries not far from you, you know, within a few short space of time, things can change, you know, and the British government, as you've mentioned, with the long history of colonialism, we know that all of us who have come from colonial countries, I think all of us here have all come from former colonial countries, we know what happened in the past. However, we must take responsibility for our future. Your people are your strength, and I think that's something that, you know, sometimes gets forgotten when just we hear from politicians perhaps or activists. But the people mustn't be left out. And as Lord Ahmed said very powerfully, we have this in England as well. People in the north of England feel that London gets all the wealth. They feel they're left out. So there's a huge programme to regenerate, to invest in the housing, roads, factories in the poorer parts of North England. This is something that you need to consider as well.
Professor Hassan, I'm incredibly proud and honoured to be here, to hear where Sudan is. And I was extremely enlightened by Professor Ghandour's candid assessment and to get a, not a thorough grasp, but a good grasp of the situation. So thank you for being so honest and open with us. I want to say thank you to the University of Khartoum, of course, in welcoming us and giving us an opportunity to understand and hear not only people, but feel the vibrancy of Sudan. It's a great privilege because up until recently, as my colleagues have said, we have only heard echoes of Sudan, conflict of Sudan, through a handful of voices that are not reflective of the people of Britain, but they smirch Sudan and Sudanese people. I'm aware that it is now 8 years, and thank you for giving that small snippet of historic signing of the Comprehensive Peace Agreement, and 2 years after the ratification of secession between North and South, which inshallah, you know, have brought an end to some of the conflicts and brutal, what we witness on television, it has to be said, seemed very callous and brutal, and what must have gone what people, ordinary men and women, children, have gone through, we can only imagine. And of course, you lost so many people have died, and displacement of families and children. And as a woman who's interested in the result of what happens in conflict, I mean, I grew up as a child in the conflict between Pakistan, the war between Pakistan and Bangladesh. I've been following some of the remarkable and often testing efforts of your government, and it is difficult to navigate, it's a difficult task to navigate some of the treacherous processes, and Professor Ghandour very interestingly mentioned some of that, to creation of a viable economy. But I would say that you're making a great effort, and Lord Ahmed has said that, and so when we were talking to some of our colleagues, some of the members of parliament, women parliamentarians that I had the honor of meeting yesterday, as well as your foreign minister, you're making great progress. So it was refreshing to see that the president has visited Juba last month. I think that's a good step, and inshallah, South Sudanese president will also do that, and we look forward to hearing from that, and maybe we look forward to reflecting some of that back to the UK. I think, if nothing else, we achieve from these dialogues and understanding that we make some. We develop an alternative narrative. I think that's very important. Our leader, Lord Qurban Hussein, has said that business is a very powerful source, and this has been proved again and again in different parts of the world, that once business starts progressing, they pull their prime minister and they pull their foreign minister with them. As in India, China, you will know, it's littered, history is littered with some of our sort of efforts. So indeed, I hope, and both Baroness Hussein and I, we have extended our invitation to the women parliamentarian in particular. Maybe they want to be joined by the NGOs, some of the leading NGOs of the women, because we can do nothing but make you a small promise that we will get them heard.
One of the things that has driven me in my work has been to find the way to enable children to work peacefully together. Now that's obvious. We should be doing that as teachers, but sometimes we get caught up with examinations and tests and skills, and we forget that unless our children have compassion, can share, can love one another, can talk to one another, can find ways together to work together, then we haven't prepared them for the future. And whilst I've been sitting here, I've tried to write a poem, because sometimes in my spare time I write a few poems from time to time, and I've tried to summarize some of the things that have been going on. It's not finished, and I can't read my writing very well because I can't find my glasses. But if you don't mind giving me a moment, I'd like to share some of the thoughts I've written down on my paper. And please excuse me if it sounds a bit simple, but I did it as we were talking this afternoon. Where is my motherland? I know she is here, but sometimes she fades and disappears. Where is my fatherland? I struggle to find the love I know is here. But today I am weak, my arms are broken and I cannot see my way. The journey I need to take is full of hardship and pain. I look out and ask, where are my roots? I have no answer today, but my legs carry me into deep water, sometimes tainted with blood. And as I walk through this, I call out for help and struggle for air. No, I will not die and give in to despair and fear. Where are my friends? They are here. We are here. Do not cry. Stand up, look ahead, and you will find the right way. Where is your motherland? Here is Sudan, beneath your feet forever. Amen.
Very briefly, I appreciated what has been said concerning dealing with the past and the issue of how business is important. Business is very important. We need to create an environment conducive to business. And I think that's what Professor Ghandour alluded to when he said that our own resources are becoming a problem for us. So how do we reconcile the fact that we need more business and that at the same time this resource case that which we are confronted, how do we resolve, this conundrum that we need more people to come, but at the same time we have these problems that we are grappling with. So if those who are interested in business in Sudan can help us to resolve our problems also, there will be a kind of a win-win situation there. And I think that's what you are trying to do.
Professor Ghandour, number 4 at SCP, and we are now responsible for a very important file, negotiations with the North Sector of SPLM. I don't agree with you in 2 tracks. Negotiations. What we need is stop the war. And I remember that the war of the two states is mainly a result of what they believe, whether they are right or wrong, of the insincerity of the government of fulfilling the popular consultation. And I think these people of the two states are right in all their demands. A delegation from the 2 states have visited Indonesia, the region of Ece, and they found a very successful experience of popular consultation, which ended more than 25 years old, and they tried to bring it here. It is not about the right of self-determination, separation, or secession. It is all about respect of human rights, to have more concurrent competencies with the central government. And I think this is very normal for the people of the 2 states. And we also, you remember well, we have other components of popular consultation in the different agreements. In Abuja, in the East, in Doha, they all have a component of popular consultation. So if you are trying to work with this piecemeal approach, I'm sure you are not going to solve anything. What you need is to see what are the demands of the people in the different regions or states. And secondly, try to harmonize them with the demands of the central power. And your party is also one of these powers. So therefore, we are going to have a solid, unified approach to reach peace, to achieve peace and sustain peace in Sudan. I do believe, and I hope I meet you in order to discuss this in details. Thank you.
I will add my voice to those who call for adopting a comprehensive settlement approach, because we all know that the kind of amoebic increase in the number of armed conflict, which Ghandour alluded to, was actually the result of the piecemeal approach. Because you negotiate today with a certain, defector, you get him to the palace, and then you are going to negotiate another agreement with a new one. And this is actually why the conventional talk about lack of development and marginalization is subsiding, while calls for structural changes in the political game are now are being called for. So probably to pull the rug from the feet of the warmongers, why don't you go for this comprehensive approach? It's becoming like something that a consensus is being built around. Everybody believes that the piecemeal approach is not going to take us anywhere. Thank you very much.
Actually, I'm welcoming also the delegation from the House of Lords into the university. And actually, I have 2 or 3 points to discuss. First of all, in the Holy Quran, there is a statement that if somebody is seeking peace, you sit with him. But if somebody is fighting you, you fight him. I'm asking Professor Ghandour, why do we go back into peace with those who are fighting us? And the second point is that is it because of the international society, or is it because to satisfy the Americans, or what? The second point is the American ambassador, the Americans in the Sudan. They are not appreciating anything in the Sudan, and I'm looking to the news. I'm seeing that the American ambassador is visiting a lot of Islamic sectors around Khartoum area. So I don't know the reason why. Why is he visiting? I'm sure Professor Ghandour, when he goes to Washington or New York, he will not be allowed to go any place else unless he's joined with so many different people. And the third point is the British embassy. The British people in the Sudan, they are not countering the effects of the Americans. Probably they are not keeping silent, but the media or the media is not reflecting what they are doing actually in the Sudan.
All the movements, all the rebellion movements, and to see what is common between them. And I think all of them will agree that we need democracy, where we respect each other, where we listen to each other, and we need transparency. We can have freedom of speech, we can negotiate with each other and with the government. Also, we need justice, social justice, which is lacking in Sudan. And as far as we have rising rates of poverty, at the same time we have a rising rate of richness. We have a lot of nouveau rich, and this will reflect the lack of social justice. And at the same time, we need a new start where we can come to a consensus, and this consensus cannot be reached without negotiation. And I think at this start, a new start, and negotiation, as Professor Kersani mentioned, with the native, with the people, not with the parties, but with the people who have their own aspiration and who have their own target. I think the Sudanese people are very simple. They just need to be secured in their daily life, in their livelihood. Thank you.